how important is an influencer in your life? And I'm going to start with you on this one, Sally. I'm just curious.
I don't think influencers are very important in my life at all. I especially think I think people who I just know as influencers, like I don't know them because I know their music, their art, or what books or anything, like
Right.
movies, whatever. I just see them I see them for what I take it for what it is. They're just influencers
Do you follow
on
an
social media.
Do you follow an influencer? Anybody in here follow an influencer? Ella.
Can you define influencer? Because I follow a lot of athletes who have gained a lot of media attention, and then you were saying, like Jared McCain,
Yep.
Paige Becker, or even Caitlin Clark, with all the records and attention
Right.
she got last
Right.
season. So I follow all of them, and they do post stuff that's partnered with, Jared McCain did a partnership with Amazon, which is influencing.
Well, the and I've got to remember her name, the gymnast at UCLA.
Oh, Libby Dunn.
Yes, Livy Dunn. She's making, ready?
Oh God.
$1.6 million. Because of her, of course, success.
I mean,
ILM, her image license and name, ILN, but also because of her influencer. She has 1 million some odd followers. They're following her intently. Now, my question to you is, what is it about influencers that would, obviously, Ella, you mentioned the success in their enterprise, but really, what do you get from following an influencer? What are you paying attention to? Because, of course, they're being paid by sponsors, everything from manufacturers to even retail outlets. But what, other than that, what's to be gained from following an influencer?
I was just gonna say entertainment. Like, why do you watch TV? Because it's fun. Why do you look at what influencers post? And Livy Dunn, yeah, she's also a gymnast, but I feel like I know her more as an influencer, like you were saying. So I just watch her to be like, oh, she's in the Bahamas. That's fun. Like, it's just something to do, I feel like.
And I feel like it's different for her, especially because some influencers, you watch them because what they're doing is interesting. They're living a life that's so much different to yours. They're successful, and they're also it's fun. Like Ella said, it's entertaining. But I think she's different because there was a weird obsession that teenage boys had with her for a really long time. I think she was just kind of a symbol, kind of everyone's celebrity crush at the time.
Right.
So I think that was a big part of her thing. So she's kind of different, I'd say, than the typical athlete influencer.
But and of course, Deion Sanders and his son are influencers, and of course at Colorado. I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to understand what would be attractive to following somebody with a great deal of regularity. Oh, Charlie?
Well, what I know a lot of people doing is there's a term called a parasocial relationship.
Right.
Where a person will watch an influencer and kind of live through them, because some people out there don't live as interesting lives as they would want to, so they see these people online and they get to kind of experience what they're doing through them online. So if they see oh, this person went to the Bahamas, wow, I can just picture myself there. I can see what they're doing and wish I was doing it, and also get to have a glimpse of the experience that they had by them being there. And it kind of creates this bond of sorts where oh, this person did this, wow, that's so cool. And that's why so many people follow them. It's because they live such interesting, fast, new lives versus the lives they may not be happy with living.
I give you credit on that one. I hadn't, and the term parasocial, a lot of people are not new to, or that's new to them as a term. It's interesting. You should know about it. I'm curious, how did you know about the concept of parasocial?
I've just learned about it from being online and
Okay.
just seeing people talk about how being parasocial is kind of an issue today, because it leads to people not doing stuff. Because they're oh, if I can just see someone do this and I don't really get to experience it. Also, it's just
So
not a
I don't
very
have to go
healthy
out and
relationship.
work to accomplish the task.
I can just see this thing happen, and then boom, then I'm partially satisfied.
Right. It's like it kind of defeats the sense of discovery if you're going to watch somebody else do a task that you could do yourself that you might want to experience, like Charlie said, and just find out the outcome of it, or like what might happen if you were to do it in like 10 seconds. Then why not just do that?
It's like watching someone do a science experiment that you could do in 5 seconds.
Exactly.
It takes out all like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen when I put baking soda and vinegar together. Everyone knows what happens with that, but it's just an example for...
Ella?
I was also going to say that these vacations to like the Bahamas, or say you're overseas in Europe and now you're in Asia, like that's, I think, I'm going to argue the other side.
Okay.
Just because some people don't have the kind of money to be able to travel like that. So being able to watch someone do that can, maybe you can't travel right then and there, but 10 years down the line, you've been saving for a 2-week trip to Europe, right? I mean, it might not.
Right,
no,
that's fine. I see where you're coming from.
But
basically,
because not everybody has access to that.
And it gives you a little sense of what to expect if you were able to go there.
Yeah.
All right. But it goes back to the question I have, and this is the one that really throws me, is following somebody with the intensity. We were talking about that in relationship to Swifties and things of this nature. Almost to the, and I'm wondering, can it create a situation where the follower loses all connectivity with their friends, their local social circle? And is that possible? And does that happen? Have you seen or experienced any of that? Francis?
I think this kind of ties into what Charlie was saying about parasocial relationships. It's like, I've definitely noticed people can get attached to certain celebrities or like influencers, and then that like dictates their whole sort of like...
Their social?
Yeah, I don't know anyone personally who's like gotten that wrapped up in anything like that, but it's definitely not uncommon to hear about, I feel like.
Okay. Now, if you were looking at a situation where you were following multiple influencers, do you end up following influencers that are like-minded or in some way have some common thread? You're agreeing on that, Sally?
Yes, I think I definitely do. And also, before we get too far off the topic, I did want to comment on something that Francis just said. Just the fact that I don't think this is new. Like, I don't think that this whole idea of people forming these parasocial relationships or like these obsessive kind of like over the top relationships with celebrities is new at all. I mean even like years and years ago, people like young people forming, like posters and obsessions and everything like that. It's just a different way of, it's just more. There's more people to obsess over, I guess.
To agree and disagree with you on that, Sally, to agree, yes. The situation, a good example of that is tennis shoes, Ella. Everybody wanted to wear the tennis shoes of their favorite basketball player back in the days of Converse and things like that. All right. But it wasn't as easy to follow them as you could if you wanted to watch TV, if you had a TV set, if you watched TV. But now the accessibility and the availability is just, exponentially greater. Go ahead, Ella.
I agree. And I honestly think that what you guys are talking about is actually two different things. So one is the parasocial relationship, that aspect of it, and the other one is just the basic influencing, which for sure has been a thing, like you were saying, with the Chucks and even when my granddad was in school, so like 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, that has always been a thing. But I think because we can actually look into people's lives and they can look in the camera of their phone and it looks like they're looking at us, that's what makes that relationship kind of scary. If that's how you want to look at it.
I like that description, scary. Go ahead, Charlie.
I'm sorry, I just
lost it. Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
Okay, you'll come back. I like the term scary here for a moment. But the other aspect of this, and this is the thing I want to move to. Okay, every influencer, every athlete has a shelf life. The term meaning a period when they basically run out of energy, they run out of their capacity, they no longer are the stars. And so they have a shelf life. And so you move on to the next successful participant, the next successful athlete or singer for that, or entertainer. So my question is, have you experienced this, and not necessarily in your own lives, but have you ever seen this among your peers where suddenly they are no longer supporting or fans of, name the individual, they've moved on to another person? I'm just wondering, has that topic ever come up where the influencer literally has a shelf life?
Yeah, obviously if someone quote falls off, they lose interest, lose people,
or it's a competitive field.
Yeah, well, and also I think it could be tied in with people like hyperfixations, where people become obsessed with a certain thing or a certain person for a certain period of time. And then after a while, they're like, wait, I'm bored of this. Let me move on. And I mean, I can even say that for myself, that has happened with like internet trends. Like I could be obsessed with watching someone play a certain video game, and then the next day I'm obsessed with a different video game or something like that.
Francis.
I think a big part of what you're saying also, Ella, is the influencer market, if you will, has become so oversaturated.
Yes.
Because it's like you're watching these people and it's like I can be doing what they're doing. It's like it fuels people to want to do that, because realistically you don't have to have a certain skill like 90% of the time to just
do what they're doing.
Yeah,
But basically they're just talking to...
No shade to anyone who's an influencer,
Yeah.
but a lot of times it's just people like living their life, or like just...
Usually people
life.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
just posting about, ideal things happening to them, and it's like I could do that. And I think it also reflects like people, especially younger people nowadays, are always looking for like alternative methods to make a living.
Okay. Listen. Whoa.
Listening.
We are.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that. Confirmation appreciated there, Sally. But, there was a recent poll. I say recent. It's maybe a year old. Your number one dream in life as a career.
Oh, I've seen this. And so many
Influencer.
people said influencer.
Influencer.
That was sad.
And no,
not
honestly,
even gonna lie.
I honestly think that they're smart for that.
Okay, why?
I do not want to be an influencer. I don't like being in the public eye like that. I don't like my actions being scrutinized. And also anyways.
I agree with you.
But I get why they would say that, because it is seemingly very little work for a lot of reward.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if I can make a lot of money just living my life, why would I not do that?
How does this influence buying activities? That's what, we talked about that briefly. How does this consumers? Ella?
I was just gonna talk from personal experience. I used to be very heavily influenced in terms of clothing, like all the little, I guess they're called like micro trends on the internet that would come and go in a couple months. I would be like, oh my gosh, I need that piece of clothing right now on my body.
Wow.
And it wasn't good. They did not look good. I regret it now. But as I've learned, matured, whatever, tried to not be as wasteful with my purchasing, and I've gotten better about it. But it's real. It is definitely real. And sometimes I still feel that way. But I don't have money, so.
Charlie, I'm curious about that in relationship to the role of athletes. Do they influence people to actually buy and consume?
I mean, absolutely, yeah. They definitely influence people to buy certain things. Like with athletes, like you could go back to as far as Michael Jordan, And
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was the entire craze back then. People, I mean, I heard my dad told me a story about how like some guy killed someone else for a pair of Jordans.
That's true. No. You created this. The term is cachet.
Actually, yeah.
You created this cachet. I'm trying to remember, and I frankly even now, does Michael have a? Does he have a Michael Jordan?
No, I know. I just like how you're.
There's only one Michael in the world, or you can say
Michael and
MJ.
Lockwood are good-
but
good
my
friends.
question is, does he have a blog, a podcast, or that I know of?
I don't think so.
I don't even think he has social media.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
He doesn't need it.
No, I know
I
he
mean-
doesn't because one time, my friend tried to DM him and she accidentally DM'd Michael B. Jordan.
Very, very different people.
Yeah, understatement. All right. Going back and just wrapping it up on this issue, the topic of Parasocial came about as well in the off air. Let's talk about here for a moment the role of gaming, and you brought that up briefly, Ella. Who are big gamers in here? Charlie
Me.
is. Okay. How big a gamer?
Relatively big. I really
Don't.
enjoy
He plays
some
Minecraft.
well, no, I really do enjoy some certain video games, but not necessarily like either when I'm playing them with friends, which is really enjoyable, or for like the story of the
It doesn't consume you, though.
Not entirely.
I like that. Not entirely.
No, but I think he is meaning it in the term of like how you get engrossed in a good book.
Or in a good movie.
Right.
Okay.
Or a good TV show.
Or a good.
Or a good radio show.
Yeah. Yes. Youth points.
Youth points.
Youth points. That's exactly right. All right. The conclusion then on the influencers is that, do you, in your opinion, and by the way, this has come up in another category altogether, and that is the issue of podcasts and things of this nature, and how important podcasts have become with variety of celebrities. And I'm wondering how many of those podcasts are going to be around for a long time. But my question is, to your comment, Francis, the fact that it is saturated. What about are influencers going to be here for a long time? I'm just curious.
Is this towards me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
go for it.
My bad.
Is your name free?
I don't know. He was
Francis.
looking at you.
Either one, yeah.
I think with apps like TikTok and stuff like that, I think it's definitely like unavoidable that they'll ever go away anytime soon.
By the way, which is the best form of influencers? You mentioned TikTok,
TikTok and
Instagram,
Instagram.
Reels.
Yeah, TikTok.
Reels. But it's interesting. Reels have been around a long time, though, has it not? I mean, really, it's just
I don't think. I
I
think,
think
it came
TikTok.
out after.
TikTok
they
is
wanted
still
to
number
compete
one.
with TikTok, I think.
Is there a
Or Vine, maybe.
okay.
Vine maybe was like the first
Vine
short-
was that's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Musically, and
Yeah.
there was TikTok, then
Yeah.
Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then so forth and
Facebook
so
Reels
on.
followed.
Here's
YouTube
another
Shorts.
question, and they get it down to even a finer level, granular, as they say. Difference in age and gender. Age. Is there an age preference for TikTok, Instagram, Reels? Okay. Ellis says yes.
I definitely say yes. Now, Sally loves a good Instagram reel.
Oh,
I'm
get me
sorry. I'm
started.
sorry. I threw you under the bus there, but I think that typically TikTok, younger generations like TikTok, and then older generations like Instagram Reels, because I will find my father sitting on the couch blasting an Instagram reel.
Do you mean influencers or who uses them?
Who uses them?
Okay.
I don't know. I've seen my mom blast a few Instagram reels, and every second she's like, Charlie, look at the puppy.
Yeah, me too.
Look at the puppy.
Me too.
And she's just like, did you see it? Did you see him like crawl in the box? Oh my
I'm
goodness.
like, Mom, I've seen 10 videos like this today. Thank you.
My 14-year-old brother is very fond of YouTube Shorts.
Oh.
yes.
Okay.
And I agree, and even younger than us. So the Gen Alpha.
Wait,
my-
wait.
God.
You're back to Francis. How old? What is this? You're what?
He's 14. My
And go ahead, Ella.
And my little sister is 9, and she loves YouTube Shorts.
Okay, I didn't even think it mentioned YouTube. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, marketing question. What's going to be the strong platform, the strongest platform?
Honestly,
Sally.
I really doubt the effectiveness of social media marketing. Like, I think unless it's something shocking or unless it's someone creating their own brand and marketing it there like that way, it's just so like when you're looking at someone's content and then you see them like, this is for Tide and da 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 da, like knowing that it's an ad and then seeing like, I mean, like I was just saying when we were
Well,
off air, it's so much less popular.
Ross kept commenting about a Reels video that he kept watching, and he said every other one happened to be in Target. And he
Yeah.
said, and I mentioned subliminal advertising. Francis, let me hear it from you. And I want you to get a little closer there.
I actually kind of disagree. I think social media marketing is very, I mean,
Okay.
not just prevalent, but it's very effective. I feel like
which platform? TikTok, Instagram?
I've thought about this a little bit before. I think Instagram is kind of like a not
most
a good
universal?
It's like an amalgamation of several different.
Most universal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ella?
I was actually going to disagree with what Sally said, only on the basis that I don't think the general public is going to put as much thought into it as you do, Sally. And because
Dang it.
because I'll be honest, I'll be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and then I'm like, what am I doing? But I really think that people stop at the, oh, that's cool, and then they hit the purchase button. Like, that's where I think
Wow.
that stops.
Charlie, I'm going to end it up with. And by the way, I'm going to wrap it up with a final question on gender. But we've got age and platform. Charlie,
I do feel like certain media influences in terms of like marketing can be effective, as like even if you don't buy the thing immediately, it leaves like that slight amount of residue that like you like you know what I mean.
it's called TOMA. Top of the mind awareness. Yeah.
But like I've experienced this before. If I see like a good ad, like on some YouTube channels that do sponsors and stuff, and if they do it in like a clever way, I'll be like, oh, that's kind of funny, and then I'll remember it. And so then if I'm ever like, man, I really need
Whatever.
whatever, and then I'll think, oh yeah, I remember that thing. So then I'll be like, oh, so since this person that I like made a thing about this and did it in a clever way that I liked, I'm gonna be like, oh, I want to buy that thing because they did that right then. It's in here.
Okay, next final question for you. On gender. Guys, TikTok, Reels, Instagram, does it matter?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily divided by
Gender?
I mean, I feel like it could be in certain places, but
Sally's right. She's patting her.
Now, are we saying influencers or people like the target
The
audience?
target audience.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think it matters either, Charlie.
Yeah.
I would agree, because honestly, I feel like okay, this might sound weird, but I like I like a lot of sports, and I like outdoorsy stuff, which is typically quote unquote masculine things or whatever. Don't get me started. But typically masculine things, and that marketing
As a matter of fact,
works on me.
as
But
a-
I mean,
as a-
also the bracelets and the earrings, they work
To that point, the vast majority of the successful influencers in sports are male.
Yeah. And that's why it's so awesome that we have people like Paige Beckers
But
and
yeah,
Caitlin
exactly.
Clark coming
And-
up right now. That's really cool.